Have all the visitors signed in? Roll call has been taken. We have a quorum. Hopefully, everybody received their packets on Friday or Saturday and had a chance to go through the information. Look for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll offer a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jenny, seconded by Brad. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of minutes from the 20th of last month. Does anybody have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kurt Shervin,
I'll second.
second by Sebastian McDougal. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, look for a motion to open the public hearing for Doubting Thomas. Motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Brad. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Take it away, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is a public hearing for Noreen Thomas, request for interim use temporary agricultural tourism permit. The applicant seeking a temporary interim use permit to offer agricultural tourism and education events and activities at 12506 20th Street North, Moorhead, Minnesota 56560, parcel ID 18.015.2001 and part of the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, section 15, township 141 north, range 48 west, Craigness Township. So this property is north of Moorhead. It's about 1.25 miles east of Highway 75 and half mile north of 120th Avenue. There's residents, 3 outbuildings, and multiple grain bins on the property. So a lot of zoning on this property. The base zoning is agricultural general. The entire property is floodway. Does have shoreland special protection, rivers and streams. Surrounding properties have the same zoning. The floodway zoning district is probably our most limiting zoning district for development. However, an IUP for a temporary use may be allowed in all of our zoning districts if it meets the minimum requirements and an interim use permit is granted. So the intention of the applicant is to host ag tourism educational events primarily geared for 4-H school groups, members of the public. Primary topics would be on conservation practices, but also could have additional agricultural topics as well. Looking at hosting these events May through November, which is about a 6-month time frame. There wouldn't be any new buildings constructed. It is distance from neighboring residences. There would just be some parking, no real structural improvements to the property. There'd be portable restroom facilities on site. They do use a licensed food vendor for catering. Some smaller scale events, but they do have some larger events as well. They would be able to, with the size of the property, meet parking and would be monitoring the weather as well to ensure that they don't have these events because they're primarily outdoors for high rain or events like something we had last Friday. So it looks like this request does meet that temporary use definition, just because it's only in place for short periods of time, doesn't exceed 6 months. It's not really a permanent use right now. There aren't planning on any buildings at all. If they do any tenting or anything like that, they would require a permit from the Department of Public Safety if it's over a certain size, 1,500 square feet. One thing of note is that looking at this property, it should be positively affected by the completion of the Fargo Moorhead diversion. So essentially right now, everything in pink is the current floodway. So the regulatory floodway, this is where you have the highest flood flows and velocities moving through an area. In post-diversion, and when that is operational, the floodplain will look like this hatched pink. So a lot of the structures will actually be coming out of that floodway. And I believe this would just be the floodplain fringe then, so technically still developable if it meets floodplain regulations. So if that property, if that happens, if it's removed from the floodway zoning district, the applicant, property owner could apply for something more permanent, like an agricultural tourism, which is an interim use permit, or a retreat center, which would be a conditional use permit. That would allow them to construct buildings, host events for longer periods of time, so year-round events. With this, and we've done this for other permits that are temporary uses in the past, is as instead of applying every year, we'd place a condition that this permit would be good for 5 years, just for a 6-month time frame each year. And hopefully by, hopefully before 2030, the diversion is operational and could switch to a different type of permitting that's a little more permanent and allows for more flexibility and more options. We haven't received any public comment, and we haven't received any comment from the township at all. From our comprehensive plan, just the relevant goals related to this request. We have a goal to recognize the diversity of living and working arrangements in the unincorporated areas of Clay County. We have a goal to support the long-term protection of the county's strong and diverse agricultural economy, to maintain an environment that supports ag at all scales, recognize and support the agricultural character of Clay County in all planning efforts, and ensure that new development is compatible with the character and quality of the county's agricultural areas. And then we do have a floodplains goal to foster community resilience to the impacts of flooding through targeted mitigation planning and implementation for the benefit of Clay County residents, agriculture, and industry, and to discourage inappropriate development in flood hazard areas. I'm going to just go back to this image. Any questions for me at all?
Hearing none, would the applicant care to speak to her request? If so, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening. I'm Noreen Thomas of Doubting Thomas Farms, the applicant that you are addressing. And I just wanted to say that when we look at where the farm is located, we're about 15 to 20 minutes from 3 universities. So we have a lot of universities coming out and studying different, from biology to environmental sciences. And we also have requests to have maybe a meal on the farm that's right there, grown right here, food from the valley. So to be in compliance, that's why I applied, because we plan to do some farm-to-table meals with a chef catered, and bring people out to the country. I think that when we look at agritourism, it's at $9 billion this year. It's expected to grow 12%. And we look at North Dakota, it's the Wild West out there. They apply for the Department of Commerce and don't pay any fees. So really, as a farmer, they really have been showing us that agritourism is very viable. And it's another way to get people connected to Clay County. We get people that stop by for some of our educational classes from Minneapolis. We've had people from Europe stop by. So it's a way to kind of showcase Clay County. If we can make them stay in the county for another day or two, it's extra money. It's good for the farm, it's good for Clay County. So I'll take any questions also if you have any.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Noreen? Thank you very much. I've worked with you, several times over the last dozen years, and you do provide a good service, and we've been on for me personally, your agricultural things that you do, you work with NRCS and the FSA, and it's nice to have you. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this IUP? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this IUP? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Kurt Substead, seconded by Kurt Shervin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed.
So, and Mr. Chair, just with the reminder, with the adoption of the new Clay County Land Development and Subdivision Ordinance, just want to remind everyone that the findings have changed a little bit. We were at 13 in the past, and now we're down to 8. So,
Okay, and away we go. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, and storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. The interim use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. Okay, the staff has established 6 conditions that we can add to, subtract from, modify as we see fit or as needed. Should we go through, want me to go through them or you
would
to
you like
go
me to
through
read them, Mr. Chair?
Certainly.
Okay. Condition 1, the facility must receive all federal, state, and local licenses required for operation, including food and beverage licenses as necessary, including appropriate licensure from Clay County Environmental Health Division. 2, the applicant must provide a detailed parking plan providing parking spaces for a minimum of 100 vehicles to the planning office For review and approval, each space must be at least 10 feet wide and 20 feet in depth and 300 square foot in area, including the access drive. 3, no permanent structures can be constructed or converted for temporary agricultural tourism use. 4, temporary structures such as tents over 1,500 square feet require a permit from Minnesota Department of Public Safety. 5, events can be hosted May 1st through November 1st each year. And 6, permit shall expire December 31st, 2030. And the hope there is that by 2030, Ms. Thomas would be able to come in and apply for either an agricultural tourism permit or a retreat center permit.
We should have a longer.
Yep.
Or an indefinite.
Yep. And then I guess, in addition to any comments on conditions from the Planning Commission, would want to make sure that the applicant is agreeable to these conditions as well.
Okay, does anybody have any thoughts or comments or additions? Does the applicant understand and is able to work with, if we choose these 6 recommendations, is that? Okay.
Director Jacobson, the staff report says November 30th, but what you have on the screen says November 1st.
That's because November 30th it'd be longer than 6 months. So this is just shortening it up to the 6-month timeframe.
Okay. Hearing no questions, look for a motion to approve or disapprove the IUP.
I have one question before we do that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to signing, is it applicable to address that signage?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Mojo, yeah, we certainly could add a condition that signage would meet the Clay County sign standards.
You know, I know the applicant hasn't asked for it, but I just think if we're keeping with consistency for other pieces, and then if they choose to put a sign there, that it would be within the parameters what's allowable.
So that would be the 32, the 8x4, the 32 square feet?
I'm looking at Mr.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It's clear I didn't do very well in keyboarding in school.
When everyone's watching.
Yeah. A little more pressure.
Well, you gotta remember, some of us are so old, we didn't have keyboarding.
Typing.
Okay, hearing no further discussion or comments, look for a motion to approve or disapprove the permit with conditions 1 through 7.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the request with the conditions noted.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Brad. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Permit is granted. Thank you. Okay, next, look for a motion to open the public hearing for Big Iron Properties LLC petition for rezoning. Motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Kurt Shervin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is open.
So this is a petition for rezoning. The applicant is petitioning to rezone parcel ID 19.052.0010, Lot 1, Block 1 of Carlson Farms subdivision, Section 17, Township 138 North, Range 48 West in Kurtz Township, from agricultural general to highway commercial. So this subject property is on the east side of US Highway 75. It's south of 80th Avenue. The base district is agricultural general. Should note that there is a small amount of floodplain fringe, so that's the 100-year floodplain way on the extreme eastern and northern end of the property. The applicant is looking to rezone from ag general to highway commercial. The parcel is approximately 40 acres. The current land use is agricultural with industrial here on the north. There aren't any structures on the property. The crop equivalency rating, it's Minnesota's kind of rating of crop land productivity, is 67 to 72. That's good category. There aren't any wetlands on the property. And so some information about this property, permitting information. In 2017, there was a variance request for an asphalt batch plant, property line and residential setbacks. That was denied. In 2018, it was platted to one lot and one block for commercial use. In Clay County, if you're going to do a commercial use, you require a plat. There were 2 interim use permits granted. One for aggregate material stockpiling and concrete recycling. One thing to note in doing our research for this is that since the property ownership has changed and these are interim use permits, these permits are technically expired. So the permit holders will need to come back to amend those permits. Simply, really, it's the amendment process would be simply changing the owner's name on the permit. Is essentially what that would be. For this project, looking at a 1-block, 13-lot commercial and industrial subdivision. So some potential uses provided by the applicant include contractor shops, contractor storage yards, material stockpiling, which is an existing use, warehousing, storage. Those are just some examples. There would be 2 new 70-foot wide public rights-of-way, and the road would be about 32 feet width, designed to be paved in the future. There would be 2 proposed regional stormwater ponds, so very large stormwater ponds that would be vegetated on either side. There is an existing commercial access to US Highway 75 on the north side that would be dedicated as an easement. So site suitability would be adequate drainage for stormwater, especially with the regional stormwater ponds. Wastewater treatment, if needed for each lot, would be a mound or at-grade system. There would be space for 2 drain fields. Water, nearby well depth logs indicate depths up to 225 feet and a pump rate of 6 to 15 gallons per minute. There would be a need to avoid that flood fringe again. I don't have it on this map, but in that northeast extent of the property. So just some dimensional standards for the highway commercial district. Structures would have to be set back 40 feet. There'd be a side yard setback of 30 feet. Minimum lot size is 1 acre. Minimum lot width is 100 feet. And then the minimum lot coverage, or maximum lot coverage, excuse me, for structures would be 30% of the lot area. In terms of highway commercial, this is kind of small to read, but there's essentially went through and listed all the uses that would be permitted in the highway commercial zoning district and what type of permitting or what level of permitting they would require. So there's some subdivisions that all require plat. In an agricultural use, agricultural service establishment would require a conditional use permit. If someone wanted to do a farmer's market or something, they'd need an interim use permit. The actual commercial uses, some are permitted by right. Some of the more intensive industrial uses, like light industrial, asphalt batch concrete plant would require either a CUP or an IUP. Cannabis, are lower potency hemp uses, so that'd be either cultivation, manufacturing, retail, that requires CUP, motorsports facility. Don't think any of these lots would be big enough for that anyway. Precast concrete plant, again, these are smaller size lots. Shop condos would be a CUP and a plat. Storage and stockpiling, which is already occurring on the property, would be an interim use permit, salvage yard CUP. Some of your retail stuff, those would be things that'd be more just a building permit or permitted by right. And then just a number of public service and utility uses that could also potentially be in there. And then accessory and other uses, so these would be uses that would be not the primary use of the property, but things like commercial outdoor storage, things like that would be an accessory use. I did receive public comments. Just looking at this map here, you see there's a residence right kind of in the immediate vicinity of the property. There's one to the north, so two within that quarter mile. Looks like 7 or 6, can't count, and a half mile, or 7 actually. And then if you go out further, there's a number of other residents as well. There's some concerns that have been raised about increased runoff and drainage, any water usage or well impacts, increased traffic, increased noise, light pollution as well. Those are kind of the 5 main concerns that our office has heard about as a result of the rezoning and then the subsequent plat that would create that 13 lot, 1 block subdivision. They do have an open access permit with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. And Minnesota Department of Transportation has stated that they meet the spacing requirements. That was I know that a year ago, they had looked at this plat in rezoning as well. Some issues with spacing on a public roadway that needs to be dedicated. And so they've been working with, the applicant has been working with MnDOT, essentially for the past year on this as well. There could be more traffic potential associated with commercial uses that would exceed that regular road maintenance schedule at the county highway department. And then snow removal on something like this where you have a cul-de-sac servicing a subdivision would be a lower priority. Also, the township did pass a subdivision road resolution agreement. That still must be recorded as well. That was done in June, early June. And then the comprehensive and transportation plan goals and objectives that are to be related to this request. We do have a goal to recognize and protect the agricultural character of Clay County, to protect the prime ag soils from commercial, industrial, residential development. Note that just as I stated earlier with our crop equivalency ratings here, rating is good. This would be considered prime farmland if it was drained. There isn't any drain tile or surface drainage on this property as of right now. Just bigger picture, we do in Clay County have about 297,600 acres of prime farmland if drained, and 154,240 acres of just prime farmland in the county. We have a use category or a goal category for commercial industrial to encourage commercial and industrial development that is in harmony with the agricultural and rural character of the county. And then an objective under that would be to promote value-added ag service or agricultural, commercial, and industrial development in ag service center areas and along transportation corridors and hubs. So this would, it is along US Highway 75, which is a major transportation corridor in Clay County. And then I should just note too that 80th Avenue, which is just the north, is being studied as just as a perimeter route, a future perimeter route for the FM metro area. We do also have an objective to avoid or mitigate against commercial and industrial development that increases the potential for land use conflicts with rural residential or ag uses. So this potential or this proposed rezoning and plat would impact directly two residential parcels. One being permanently occupied and the other has a pole building but no residents. And there are about 7 residences within a half mile. Would likely increase traffic in the area, could allow for additional noise and light producing commercial and industrial activity. And so with our findings of fact, just want to note that as noted in the previous public hearing, with the new land development ordinance, we have essentially 5 review standards, 4 rezoning or zoning map amendment requests. So considering the health and effect of the proposed zoning map amendment on the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of occupants of surrounding lands, making sure that it's not creating an excessive burden on any public facilities or utilities, be consistent with the general purposes of this ordinance and the existing or proposed use, and that the zoning map amendment is consistent with the goals and the objectives of the comprehensive and transportation plan, and that the proposed use or zoning district is compatible with surrounding uses or zoning districts. Any questions for me at all?
Matt, the map that you showed, is that somewhat old? I was just looking on Google here, and it looks still different.
Should be newer.
That's newer? Okay.
Yep. And I should have this up. Yeah, so bigger picture, this is kind of where we're looking relative to Moorhead, Fargo. Yeah, so this is showing that 2024
Okay.
aerial imagery. And I believe, Erica, correct me if I'm wrong, you have 2025 imagery in your packets. So even, yeah, from this year, this spring.
So where's highway commercial exist right now along 75?
Just to the north. This, I'll turn the zoning on here. Yeah, so this yellow, this is also highway commercial.
Okay.
Any other questions, Dave?
No, not right now.
I just have one question here for you, Matt. In this plat, just to answer a question here that I have, so, as the FM grows, or Moorhead, and when they develop south, what are the restrictions for, like, subdevelopments? Could the guy across the road there to the west, could he divide that out into, 30 homes there? Is that allowable? Could this, I know we're talking highway commercial below the highway commercial today, but just thinking long-term, what's allowable, you know, as Moorhead grows and, you know, the blend of commercial and residential, you know, just trying to, you know, paint a picture to see what could be 30 years from now, you know, just in developing this land, whether it's ag land or, you know, somebody wants to put a development out there, is that allowable?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Eldred, this would be south of the ET or extraterritorial area of the city of Moorhead, so it's outside of that. It's outside of their growth area plans. So right now it's in the county, and if you're looking at their growth area plans, they don't extend this far south. So if someone were to put in a residential subdivision in the future, even 30 years from now, that would be something that would be coming to you and ultimately the county board. And Kurt's Township as well.
Just to go along with her, is Brad's question, how far from this property is their extraterritorial boundary right now? Just out of curiosity.
You just pull up another map for that. So this light blue would be the kind of the most southern extent of that ET area.
About a mile.
Is that 52nd Avenue or is 52nd Avenue further north? County 12,
Be further north,
that's what I thought.
70th,
Yeah, I didn't think it
a
extended,
mile,
Yep.
a little over a mile.
so it's a ways.
So that home that is right right next to it, that's occupied?
Correct.
And you said something about, one of the other places, just a pole barn? Which one is it?
Yep, that'd be to the south here.
Oh, that one, okay.
Kurt, looks like he has a question, no?
Just a reference, that's where we used to store the school buses for the southern kids down there, so that's been a long time. Yeah.
Any further questions or discussions for Matt? Okay, hearing none, would the applicant care to come up and speak? He knows the drill. State your name for the record and
Good evening, Chair and Board. Thank you for the time this evening. My name is John Lowry with Lowry Engineering. And two of the owners with Big Iron are here tonight to answer questions as well. You know, as Matt stated, we looked at this about a year ago, and then a couple things. Originally, the plat was kind of flipped. We had the access north of the residence that's there, paralleling that existing easement, and then the cul-de-sac running to the south. And the DOT asked us to flip that. That line lines up at about the midsection, you know, maybe a little bit north. And so we thought it would fit best, but they preferred an access further to the south. And so to accommodate that, we kind of redid things. And then, you know, just wanting to make sure that we're thorough with Kurt's Township, and so coordinating with those folks and making sure that we had it in line. So, so we are back in front of you in the county, I guess, with those minor changes to bring this forward this evening. And, you know, to address a few of the concerns that have been raised, I guess. regarding lighting and noise. You know, they've been in contact with the neighboring property owners, the Bannermans and the others, and had conversations. Mr. Alpetrell, I believe, has reached out, and the other owners, so. Yep, oh, yep, Steve is here. There you go. So we got all three. My apologies. He snuck in behind me. So if there's any questions there, and I believe some of the neighboring property owners are here as well to speak, but, you know, the existing use on the property immediately to the north is for highway commercial. There's an existing industrial overlay, which, you know, we found out this evening, there's some clerical work that needs to be done to get that updated. But the owner's vision for this property is, they both work in construction. All three have in the past, and so they feel that there's opportunity. With Fargo growing to the south, you know, 76 will have an interchange at some point. And as Matt said, there's a bypass route that's being studied for this location. You know, so some sort of bridge or something would be in this area. But with Fargo growing to the south and then Moorhead eventually coming this way as well, that there's an opportunity for contractor shops and kind of workflow that way. So some things that can support people in the construction industries on the southern part of town. Other than just down by Horace off 100th and those types of things. So bringing some of those businesses into Clay County. But as far as lighting and noise goes specifically, the intention, there's no intention for street lights. Obviously with there's no plan other than the stockpiling that they have on site for specific uses that they have on property, on this subdivision. They're gonna hold these properties for sale. So anybody who builds out here would follow all applicable county and state ordinances regarding lighting, and the same would be true of noise. Matt and I chatted earlier today. He mentioned that it's, you know, there's restrictions on noise between the hours of 10 and 6, and, you know, in general, not having nuisances. And I think, you know, the owners would agree that they would support any state and local laws regarding that. So, I'd also like to point out that the township was supportive of this. They felt like it would be a good use along the Highway 75 corridor and the potential future plans that they might have, you know, at 80th there cutting across. I think Matt highlighted really well, you know, the uses for water and sanitary and stormwater and the suitability of the site, and the fact that we're confident that we can appropriately deal with those things and engineer that. So if there are any questions for either the owners or myself here, we're happy to answer those.
Are there going to be any covenants on the property when you sell that, you know, like you would in a residential development, that every home has to have brick on it, or, you know, I can't put my own shop up there that's a Quonset type, or any of those types of restrictions?
Yeah, we did draft up some covenants, and I thought, didn't you?
Get your name for the record, please, sir.
Oh, my name is Steve Opatrill. I know we already drafted up a set of covenants. We plan on having covenants, and I thought you guys would have had them, but and they can be observed, and if any changes need to be made, you know, we're willing to work what makes sense.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, those are included in the packet and would be addressed during the subdivision portion of the hearing.
And Kurt, I think in general, they're very general for industrial and commercial uses. Yep.
Other questions or comments for the engineer? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against?
Ronald Knoll.
Hello, my name is Ronald Knoll, Knoll, and my address is 1519 31st Avenue South in Fargo. I really only have one basic question. Is the intention really to create an industrial district or more of a commercial zone? The use doesn't really distinguish between the two, and we've tried to find out information about what really is going to happen with this property, and we'd just like to have a better understanding about that.
Yeah, good question, and I think any of the uses that Matt highlighted tonight that are permitted, would be considered for sale. I think that's a wide range of agricultural, public, industrial, and commercial uses, with limitations on how far you can go with, I think Matt did a really good job of highlighting that, but there's some limitations on how far you could go. For example, like an asphalt batch plant wouldn't be allowed, or certain higher intensity commercial uses that you'd want a conditional use or an interim use permit for. The county has a good code restricting those things.
So, Mr. Chair, just for a point of clarification on that, our highway commercial district does cover both in commercial and industrial uses. We also have a limited highway commercial district as well. That would be more on the commercial side of things in areas that have maybe perhaps more sensitive natural features or adjacent to that, like an aquifer or something like that. As far as an asphalt batch plant, right now it's a use that is, or a concrete plant, it's a use that is allowed by an interim use permit in our agricultural general zoning district, our resource protection aggregate zoning district, and our highway commercial zoning district. So, even for an industrial use like an asphalt batch plant, they are allowed in much of the county. And I know that you as a planning commission has permitted several of them very close to gravel pits that are not in areas that are zoned highway commercial. I will say as you'll see too in the public hearing for the proposed preliminary plat for Big Iron subdivision, the lot sizes range from just under 2 acres to a little over 4 acres. And I think with stockpiling and things like that, would be difficult to site an asphalt batch plant or a concrete plant on a lot of that size and meet all of the setbacks that are required.
Now, if this rezoning passes this evening, would, you listed many different possibilities that could go in there. Most of them, all of them, some of them would require coming back to the board for an IUP, or would?
Correct.
Okay, so public would have a chance to, okay.
Correct.
Okay, next person from the audience that wishes to speak?
Brad Hawkins.
Okay,
Rob Roberts.
Good evening. My name is Rob Roberts. Brad, when you first put up on your first maps, you showed the 13 affected properties closest to it. Could you bring that back up again? Or potentially affected, I should say. And did you contact everyone in that first circle?
So everyone in the first circle here,
Yes.
yes, everyone would have had to been
I
notified.
was not contacted. I'm at the very top right there, 7776 Highway 75 South. Until I got the notice last week in the mail, I knew nothing about this.
You're referencing?
That would be the public notice that we are required to send out, yes.
Didn't get one at my house.
It would go to, it would go to the address on the tax parcel.
Didn't get it until I got this one just last week. So it's catching me a little bit off guard. Now, you mentioned the lots themselves wouldn't be big enough for a concrete batch plant. Is there any prohibition against somebody buying 4 or 5 lots and saying, hey, now I can put a concrete batch plant in there, which could have a detrimental effect on my property values due to noise?
There would not be, but you wouldn't be able to operate a batch plant like necessarily across property lines. You would have to purchase 3 lots and you would have to replat them.
That's what I said, if they could purchase multiple plots and change what they're doing.
You'd be going back before
To a replat.
to do a replat, so you'd be going back before the planning commission and the county board.
If I don't get a notice the last minute, how do I prepare?
We would have to check with it was mailed, you did confirm that? Yeah. Okay, so it was mailed to you.
Wasn't received.
We can only guarantee that the mail goes out. We can't guarantee that it's gonna be
How do
received.
you verify that it was mailed out of curiosity? How do you know?
We have we keep record of it.
Number 2, we've talked about how there's potentially covenants out there, but we haven't seen the covenants yet. Is that something we could see before this is approved? Just so we know what's allowed, what's not allowed?
Yes, there would be a public hearing that would go before the county board of commissioners. That in that county board meeting, that would be made available. Yes,
So there's nothing to be approved tonight since we don't have the covenants.
it is a recommendation, essentially,
What is a recommendation?
a recommendation to the county board.
So if I might clarify, this.
Please.
Yeah, this board has the option to have public hearings, so folks can weigh in on insight and really reach some sort of consensus for recommendation to the county board, who has the ultimate decision-making authority on what will go forward or not. If you'd like to see what the covenant component that will be recommended, if recommended, it's in part of this as part of the next public hearing.
Is this what they've already written?
It would be what is being proposed, and then again.
This is what you guys put in already?
We have proposed covenants.
Okay. Because it really didn't sound like you had them here. That's why I was just curious. I'd like to read them.
I think
Oh, okay.
it's in the,
They were in the packet, they just didn't clarify some of the things that I was asking.
I must have missed it.
And Mr. Chair, just for a point of order on the planning commission meetings and the rules, every question should be directed to you, the chair. You are running the meeting, should not be directed to anyone else.
so Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then, just to further on with that, I think, one, we want to double check for whatever reason. If we have documentation that it went out, where's the issue? If our county attorney's here, we want to make sure that it's, you're getting the notification, but it was published as well. But in regards to further on, if this does get approved through the mechanisms of approval, any business proposal still needs to come through to the planning commission for permitted use for approval, correct?
If it requires an interim use permit or a conditional use permit.
So those bigger pieces for use that you'd brought up would still need to come back here for public insight and making sure we're addressing facts and findings there too.
I guess my big worry, do I have to address you or can I address her?
Me, please.
The thing I'm worried about is nuisance noises, nuisance conditions that could be coming down the road that isn't necessarily planned, allowed for right now, that could come down later on. Let's say somebody decides I want to put a trucking company down there, and they buy up all the lots. Now we have a truck plant down there, the noise and everything else that comes along with the truck operation. Yeah, what's our guarantee that we're not going to be harmed and have a detrimental impact on our property?
Anybody that comes in there with a business would have to comply with county code. So say they have a big lot, so it's a 4-acre lot, they can only utilize really 25% of that, or 1 acre.
But they could go ahead and, combine the lots and rezone and all that.
There are a lot, yes.
What's our purpose here tonight?
Pardon?
I mean,
I didn't hear the question, sir.
I'm not really sure what the purpose is here tonight for somebody like me. It doesn't sound like I've really got any real input in the end. So I'm feeling a little frustrated.
You were here on public record, it's being recorded, being televised, saying,
But then if it goes to a county board, is this just a moot exercise?
no, this is one step in the process. Commissioner, would you care to?
Thank you. If I might, one, this, any comments or perspective that you have is entered into the record, which is then part of the presentation to the county board. And many times we hear insights from the township or residents, and as we work through an approval process, make sure we incorporate components into that piece. So obviously 75 is a very busy thoroughfare, you're very aware of that. And what you're saying is you don't want any additional sound nuisances, so we have gone through steps through permitting processes to make sure we're addressing those pieces. Not part of this particularly, but other areas where it's been addressed is in regards to storage unit pieces. People were worried about security, so we've heard the feedback and sometimes add fences or screening to that. So it is an option to have you weigh in on where your concerns are, and then this board can recommend areas to mitigate with reason what your concerns are.
Thank you. Can we get the copy of the covenants to peruse before we leave? Since apparently they're here on site?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, okay, thank you, Matt.
Yep.
I
We
thought
can get
that
a,
maybe
the
Rita
entire,
handed them
entire
already.
staff report. Yeah,
Okay,
entire packet. Is available.
so, yes. And then, again, what we're doing tonight is this is a public hearing. And then we will take everything into consideration and make a motion or a recommendation to the full Board of Commissioners to approve or disapprove this request with whatever conditions we deem necessary.
Got a question for you. Can you make a request of the highway department to put up some no Jake brake signs along Highway 75, both north and south of the property?
That is not something that comes before this board.
Who do I contact on that? Because I know they're not allowed in the county, but at the same time, there's times when I'm out there, even cutting the grass, I can still hear them going off.
Okay,
That's outside the
Thank you.
planning commission
Right.
piece here. I mean, that's not something, you address it to the highway department and you could.
Not
talk to
actually,
them.
because it's a state highway, that's MinDOT that would have that regulation. Our county engineer is here though, and so he has conversations with them. He can bring that up, but again, that's
It's
not
outside of this.
part of this hearing particularly.
So do I follow up with Mr. Melton or follow up with the highway department?
I'd call MinDOT District Office.
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this? Anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against this proposal? One more time, anybody else in the audience or online wishes to speak for or against this proposal? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kurt Stubbsted,
Second.
second by Sebastian McDougal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed.
Mr. Chair, just can I offer one final piece? We talked a little bit about that northern route being a future arterial study. If you look at the river design, the way the river goes in on the bend on the North Dakota side and how it would attach with 76th Avenue, it's really quite a cumbersome attachment. And so as we've looked, even with the North Broadway Bridge, the exorbitant cost that would be to replace that 76th interchange in the Clay County piece is becoming a little more or less appetizing the more we study that. And so just for this board's knowledge, it has been discussed openly that it's being evaluated, but it would come at a substantial cost. So we're looking at other alternatives as well.
Thank you. Okay. Move on to the findings of fact and order. Burden on public utilities. The development authorized by the zoning map amendment will not create an excessive burden on any public facilities or utilities which serve or are proposed to serve the area unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impact will be resolved. Consistency with ordinance. The zoning map amendment is consistent with the general purposes of this ordinance and the existing or proposed use or uses. Conflict with the comprehensive plan. The zoning map amendment is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan. Compatibility. The proposed use or zoning district is compatible with surrounding uses or zoning districts. Only 4.
So, Mr. Chair, I would recommend too, just reading that C, their review standards, because this is kind of the broader umbrella of what we would need to, you would need to consider too, as well as a planning commission.
Okay. In granting a zoning district amendment, Planning Commission shall consider the effect of the proposed amendment upon the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of occupants of surrounding lands, the effect on existing and anticipated land uses, and especially the effect on agricultural uses, the degree to which the zoning map amendment will affect nonconformities or variance requests. Where are my conditions? There's the covenants. I am gapping out, finding the okay, staff review.
And so, Mr. Chair, too, this would be a good opportunity, just based on the testimony heard this evening, if there's any of these findings that you feel would need to be further addressed or discussed. We do have the draft findings. Any changes that might need to be made to those at all, or if the Planning Commission is generally agreeable with those findings. Concerns, again, with being nuisance conditions, noise, lighting, traffic, if there's any of these findings that would specifically address those in ways to potentially mitigate them and or not.
Okay, I guess we'll start with number 1. There will be no burden. The lot size is conducive to them having their own wells and septic systems. The township has approved this. They are going to build new roads. So I'd say that there is, it's really not applicable for point number 1. Consistency with the ordinance. I would say that also there is no, in my mind, there's no questions as far as this definitely does fulfill the requirements of item 2. Comprehensive plan. The fact that this property is, currently agriculture and looking for a zoning change, but is on a major state traffic artery. And it is already being used for a big chunk of it is some of it's being used for industrial. That it doesn't have any conflict with the comprehensive plan. 4, compatibility. Here there are definitely some questions. However, these are very common questions with things that we are able to come up with solutions for on a regular basis, such as vegetative screening, trees, fences, lighting that goes down and not out. And again, this is on a highway with 24/7 traffic. There is already lots of things going on, and this will definitely add to it, but it's nothing new. Anybody else have any comments on number 4, Mr. Steichen?
Mr. Chair and Matt, were you more or less alluding to discussing those 5 comments received, like by Mr. Roberts's questions on different things? Is that kind of what you were kind of wanting us to kind of think about?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Steichen, yeah, I think that would be good to, if you feel like these draft findings adequately address those concerns. This is a little unique. Well, it's not a little unique because it's a little different in that with these findings too, there will also be an opportunity through the next public hearing with the preliminary plat to further refine things such as a requiring of a development agreement that might more solidify legally addressing some of those concerns as if it's approved and as it's developed. Also with the covenants as well, flushing those out in a way that by the time they come to the board, that they could also address those concerns as well, or potential issues. And then getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but with the hearing on the preliminary plat, you as a planning commission, if you feel that there are still outstanding questions that you would like to address or potentially work towards resolving, you as a planning commission can see the final plat before it goes to the Board of Commissioners. So you have the ability to waive your right to do that, and if you're fine with it, and send it to the planning or to the county board, or you could, once the final plat is prepared, so the final plat, the development agreements if needed or if required, and then the covenants, the final draft of the covenants would come back to the planning commission before going to the board. So there could potentially be another hearing on the subdivision. Just getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but some of these things could be addressed, concerns could be addressed in the actual public hearing for the plat itself.
I know this is very preliminary, but I think it's only fair to those that had raised some concerns, because some of these concerns are not necessarily unique to other requests that has come before us. So without getting too far into the weeds, it might be appropriate to look at these 5 concerns that were, and if there's anything that, although there's a lot of steps that need to go through it, obviously. So does that sound fair enough to
Yes, and
spend a
I
little bit
would,
of time on that?
and I would say that regarding the 5 things, Matt and staff have more than adequately, in my opinion, addressed them in the below paragraph.
Yeah, right.
We, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, the wastewater storage ponds, That's something that we do with every development.
Only thing is,
Yes, you know, water use, somebody putting a commercial property out there, odds are they're gonna use less water than a house.
you know, I was getting at like Mr. Roberts, he's probably doesn't have this in front of him. So he's probably not seeing what we're seeing. I think it's only fair to him and whoever else might have a concern that we should be talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, and it's all up on the screen too, but
But he hasn't had a chance to really study it per se, so.
Okay, well, so the paragraph below that staff assembled, the list 1 through 5, these concerns are commonly associated with land use intensification through the establishment of commercial and industrial uses. Concerned about increased runoff should be mitigated by the proposed stormwater infrastructure. It is not anticipated that the uses of the lots will require more water than the typical residential use due to the lot size and example, the uses. Traffic and noise associated with traffic will likely increase. However, you know, it's time of the year and, you know, what businesses do go in there, and it is on a state highway. The most recent average is, so it was 2023 was the last traffic count, and it was 1,322 a day. That is likely to go up, and it's probably higher today than it was 2 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't venture guess as to what percent higher, but things are considerably more now than they were coming out of COVID. And the last sentence, increased light pollution is a concern that can be mitigated through the restrictive covenants associated with the plat, and that is something that we do commonly. It's the concerns are completely, totally valid, but I believe that we have procedures in place to adequately or more than adequately address the concerns. Okay, now I lost my place again. So anybody else on the board have any questions or comments or thoughts again?
I guess I just would like to know, we heard from Mr. Roberts, he'd be the second closest to it, but have you heard from the person who's, you know, surrounded by it?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Shervin, I've heard from residents. Yep. Yep.
Is that-
And one of
I don't-
those
I'm
is,
not
one of
familiar
those
with
is
that
in the
house, but
audience
It's
tonight.
not a rental or anything?
Nope.
That's,
Nope.
Mr. Chair and Matt, can you just go through for our benefit and for the audience's benefit, can you go through the process from this meeting until whatever is ultimately decided? So everybody's on the same page with that.
Yeah, certainly. So for the rezoning, depending on what you would choose to do, and I have two example motions for approval or for denial up on the screen here. Regardless, it would go to the county board, regardless of the motion that you make. It would be noticed publicly, and it would be all property owners within a half mile would be re-noticed, or would be noticed again by mail. Again, which mail we can basically guarantee when it is sent. We can have postmark when it's sent, but once it is in the U.S. postal system, we cannot guarantee that it's delivered. But we do post this on our website. These hearings are also posted in the county newspaper, the FM Extra, and the Fargo Forum as well. So it would go to the county board, and the county board would make the ultimate decision on the rezoning. Ideally, now because there's platted subdivision component to this as well, we would move them concurrently. So getting my head of myself a little bit, but they're interrelated. With the platted subdivision, you as a planning commission could decide to authorize the preparation of the final plat. And then from there, the final plat would include the plat itself, would include the covenants, would include, say you would like to see a development agreement to go before the board to consider entering into with the developer. Those three pieces, that would, you have the option to see all that again in another public hearing. You could also just send it right to the county board. So that's kind of the choice there. So for the rezoning, it's this meeting, you make a recommendation, county board. For the plat, it is this meeting, you authorize, this is one path. If you were to say deny the plat, it would still go to the county board. So essentially, there could be, for the plat, one more meeting or two more meetings. So you could see the plat two times, the preliminary and the final, if you so choose. In my 6 years in this position, the planning commission has always sent it right to the county board.
Thank you.
Anything further? Hearing none, would like a motion to send this to the county board, either with our approval or?
Mr. Chair, I'll motion to move to recommend approval of this rezoning project to the Board of Commissioners.
Motion by Brad,
I'll second that motion.
second by Kurt. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll abstain my vote since I'll be acting at the county board for it.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion is carried.
Want to do a roll call or roll call vote?
Okay. Josh?
Aye.
Kurt?
Nay.
Brad? Mr. Steichen?
Aye.
Aye. Kurt? Sebastian?
Aye.
Commissioner Mojo abstains. Lorna? And chair votes aye. Okay. Plat has preliminary approval.
Rezoning, Mr.
Recommendation
Chair.
from us and is sent to the board.
The rezone was.
Rezoning.
Rezone, okay. Okay, now next item on the agenda is Big Iron Properties LLC is a request for a platted subdivision. Look for motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Sebastian, second by Brad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Matt?
Yes, this is Big Iron Properties LLC, request for a platted major subdivision. The applicant is seeking to replat a 1-lot, 1-block subdivision to a 13-lot, 1-block commercial and industrial subdivision on parcel ID 19.052.0010, Lot 1, Block 1 of Carlston Farms subdivision, Section 17, Township 138 North, Range 48 West, Kurtz Township. Let me pull this up here. So again, this is the same property from the previous public hearing, east side of US Highway 75 and south of 80th Avenue. zoning is agricultural general with that little bit of floodplain fringe. This is a 1 block, 13 lot commercial subdivision request. The plat name would be the Big Iron subdivision. So none of this information has changed since the previous meeting. It's 40 acres, currently agricultural and industrial, doesn't have any structures, good crop equivalency rating, no known wetlands. This property information is the same as well. I'll just go right into the project proposal. This would be for a, I'm at the risk of, I'm not going to repeat myself again. I think you all know it's a 1 block, 13 lot commercial subdivision. Potential uses, these were provided by the developers, would include contractor shops, contractor storage yards, material stockpiling, which is an existing use, warehousing, storage. There'd be 2 new 70-foot wide public rights-of-way, with the intention of paving them in the future, 2 regional stormwater ponds. They have that existing commercial access again on the north side of the property. That would be dedicated as an easement. Again, adequate drainage for stormwater, wastewater treatment, just due to the poor soils. For septic would be, as is most of the county, mound or at-grade system with space for 2 drain fields if needed. And again, the wells, private wells, up to 225 feet, maybe more, 16 to 15 gallons per minute with the pump rate. All right, so these lots would range from about 1.71 to 4.07 acres, the average lot size being 2.79 acres. On each of these lots, the average lot maximum buildable area would be about 36,459.72 square feet. For outdoor storage per our code, which is either 10,000 square feet or 10% of the lot area, whichever is greater, that would be 12,153 square feet. Be 2 new rights-of-way. The gravel top, it'd be gravelled, would be engineered for pavement in the future. Access connection would be to the south there on Highway 75, and then lots 6 and 7 would have access through this existing easement. So the road design here, 32 feet wide, 4-to-1 slopes in the ditch. There'd be ditching on either side. Again, the 2 regional stormwater ponds with vegetation in here on either side of those stormwater ponds. One thought for vegetative screening that would maybe potentially work really well is like a willows or something like that. If you ever drive down by Elzegel Golf Course in North Fargo, go down the dip on Elm Street, you can see those willows there, and you cannot see anything through those. The water, if needed, would be provided by private wells. Sewer service, again, if needed, would be private as well. They do have restrictive covenants drafted, and those covenants do reference the developer handling the road maintenance and the snow removal until enough lots would be sold where they'd have an owners association that would do the road and snow maintenance. Again, with the public comments received, just concerns about increased runoff and drainage, water usage and impacts to neighboring wells, traffic, noise, light pollution kind of being the biggest things here. Again, working with MnDOT on an access permit connection to 75, and then also just concerns just with the highway department with regular road maintenance and snow removal as well. And the township did pass that road agreement resolution. And then the goals are relevant to this request from our comprehensive plan are the same as the previous request. So a couple things that you could do here with this, kind of 3 options, and probably easier to read them to have me try and explain them again, but I'll read these out loud here. Is your options would be to authorize the the preparation of the final plat, once that plat is completed, you have the option to review it again before recommending your approval to the final, to the county board. The most common route taken is to authorize the preparation of the final plat and then waive the right to review and recommend to the county board. And then you could also recommend denial of the plat to the county board. I will say that our county recorder has reviewed the preliminary plat, and our GIS department has drawn it in. Everything seems to draw nicely in to the parcel fabric. There's just some very minor comments on the plat as it stands with regards to just a couple signature block changes, essentially. So otherwise, it looks good. With the plat, with the concerns that have been provided to the planning department, both written by phone and in person to you here before you at the previous public hearing, it is possible to, per our code, enter in or draft a development agreement with the developer, just essentially to address some of the kind of the main concerns or issues and how those could be mitigated. Any questions for me at all?
No questions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Steichen?
tell me again, and Matt, tell me again what you just said about the developers agreement at this point.
Well, I did, I do have one. I mean, it's a very rough draft, but I do have one drafted. I'm the only person who's seen it at this point.
Is it important that we know what it is right now?
I don't think it's important that you know what it is right now, but you would just need to, I think it's important that it is a tool that can be used to help ensure that some of the concerns are adequately addressed in this development.
And where would that take place?
That would be submitted, well, you could either see it if you choose, if the planning commission chooses to see this plat, the final plat, you would have the opportunity to review the development agreement in advance if that's you recommend the developer doing and the county doing. And then also that would go to the county board for the final plat as well.
I don't think I need to see it. I have full confidence in the county commissioners fully vetting it.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, just to make sure, did I hear correctly, the county recorder has reviewed this, and other than a couple minor technical things, it's been okayed?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Matt, and then as far as the declaration of restrictive covenants, this is just a rough draft that we have in front of us. I see
Correct.
There's something in there that's contradicts a little bit about.
Right. Correct.
But that'll be all corrected and fixed. At the same point, the developer's agreement moves forward.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Kurt?
Well, I'd just like to make a point, the developers are gonna have covenants in there to make sure that their property looks nice. They don't want junk to sell another lot and have junk in there, so. The covenants I see are adequate, but I'm sure they would refine them down the road when they see what the needs are and whatever, and when it comes to the final. I'm satisfied.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none. Motion to close the public hearing? Oh, would the applicant care to speak? Yeah.
John Lowry here on behalf of the owners, and again, we have 3 owners here this evening, so if there are any questions, I think we've covered most of the topics. One thing that we didn't touch base on, and I kind of, the township did agree to take over ownership of the road, but they're also planning on doing maintenance. And, you know, I think county engineer referenced that there might be some need above what the county standards are. And with their expertise, they have no issue with that. So they're planning on doing that as part of the covenants, so to help relieve some of those stresses. That goes for snow removal as well as blading, and I think the township was gonna be doing most of the graveling, but they'd take care of the rest, was basically what they chatted on, so. But, yeah, if there's any questions, we're here to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against?
Ronald Knoll.
Please come to the mic and state your name again for the record.
Yes, my name is Ronald Knoll. And my only request would be to see those restrictive covenants, the draft of them. I'm not sure if the planning commission has indicated that those were mailed previously to the owners. The only notice that I'd received in the mail is the notice of public hearing. So I don't know if there was a full packet. If there was, my wife Laura Knoll actually is the owner of the property, and we did not receive a copy of the packet.
Matt, would you
So,
like to address
Mr.
that?
Chair, the packet is primarily for you but it is a public document. We do put it on our website. The only statutory requirements that we are to mail the public notice. We do get often requests, once a public notice comes out, we will, in previous public hearings, get requests to see staff reports, to see the packet, and we will provide it when it's available at that time. I did get 2 requests for this specific request from folks who were noticed, and I did provide those to them. It is also, we do post it on our website as well.
Does that answer your questions, Ron?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chair, too, for future packets, whether it be for the county board, for specific to this rezoning request or the subdivision request, I am happy to mail or email the full staff reports and packets to everyone who has signed their name on that list. And I will even, if you know, not depending on the mail, I will personally deliver that to you as well. I'm happy to do that.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. It's probably a broader request, but I do know that there are members of the public who request that they're on all of the email chains for as soon as those notices go out and when things are updated. So that's something that we can add to an email address to make sure you're added into those future correspondences, not only at the planning commission level, but also at the county board level.
Thank you, Commissioner. Rita, who's next?
Brad Hawkins.
Okay, declines.
Rob Roberts.
He also declined, okay.
There's one online. There is somebody online.
Okay. Person online, you're up. Please identify yourself.
Mr. Chair, it's a Derek Wiseman.
Okay. Derek, can you hear us? Mr. Wiseman?
Are the speakers up in the room? Because it looks like he's trying to talk.
Yes, they are.
Can you hear us, Mr. Wiseman?
Can he enter a chat?
Yes, you could also chat as well if that would be if you're not able to. So that means he can hear us, yeah.
Could just be his microphone.
Might be a microphone issue on his end, yeah.
We could chat, it'd be great.
Could he enter the question in the chat?
Yeah, Mr. Wiseman, if you could use the meeting chat if you're unable to speak. He's no longer in the meeting.
And there he was, gone.
Chair, can I just add that any members of the public are able to go on the Clay County website and sign themselves up for any notifications of any agendas and meetings? They can do that right on the website on the, I think it's Meetings and Agendas page.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience or online that wishes to speak to this matter? Anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak to this matter? Final time, anyone in the audience or online wishes to speak to this? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kurt Stubsted.
Second.
Second by Brad Eldred. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Okay. So here we are. So there is no findings of fact, or this is, okay, this is where we are, folks.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to authorize preparation for the final plat, subject property, and waive planning commission review of final plat to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay, motion has been made by Brad to recommend approval,
I'll second that.
or forwarding to the county board. And Kurt Stubsted has seconded. Any further discussion? Commissioner Mojo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll also abstain from this action. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion to recommend this to the county board, approval, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, roll.
Aye.
Josh is an aye.
Nay.
Kurt Shervin is an A. Brad Eldred. David Steichen.
Aye.
Kurt Stubsted.
Aye.
Sebastian McDougal.
Aye.
Commissioner Mojo abstains. Lauren Johnson, aye. Chair votes aye. Motion is carried and passed on to the county board. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Matt. Item 7.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the, just the violation stats, and thanks to Erica for compiling these. Currently 17 pits with violations, so that number's grown as Erica's gone out. Mainly setback issues, making sure they have the required state permitting, copies of reclamation bonds, and then one ownership change from a IUP that should be addressed in the July, at the July meeting as well. And then 2 pits are over their acreage. One is working on reclamation, they just need to establish vegetation. And then the other one still needs an inspection. It was just an aerial desktop review that noted that, so we'll work on getting that addressed. And then there is one property with a home occupation violation as well. and then 2 commercial storage properties with violations that we're currently working on. Essentially running businesses out of their storage units, which is not allowed.
Verboten, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe see some new faces in here for.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Matt on violations? Okay. Any unfinished business?
No, Mr. Chair.
New business?
I just do want to make one note, because this has been a project that has, I guess, gone beyond even my tenure here, the Buffalo River LOMAR, so Buffalo River Flood Insurance Study. And this has been going on since, I want to say 2016. And it impacts an area roughly, I'll see if I can get this to load, yeah. So an area roughly just east of the Buffalo River Speedway, and then following the river downstream to the north of Glendon. This study has been, it's almost 10 years now that's been going on. What it's going to do is revise the floodplain in this area, so this area in blue here. And it will be ultimately beneficial for virtually every property owner in this area, resulting in either a removal from the floodplain or a lowering of the base flood elevations on their property and structures that would be impacted. Recently, the FEMA did issue the letter of map revision for this. So they've basically said, we've gone through everything. It looks good. It is not effective yet. So there is a 90-day appeal period that begins essentially once FEMA does 2 notices in the paper. And the second notice, which I believe would be, I think was will be this week. That starts that 90-day appeal period. Once that appeal period ends, there's an additional month. So looking at this becoming effective in October of this year. I just want to say it's been a long road on this project. I'm sure like previous planning commissions were probably more involved, but there's been kind of a period of just kind of waiting on this, and it's really now we're kind of at the end, and so October this should be effective. I plan on bringing, when that happens, a presentation to you all, to the planning commission, and likely the board as well on that. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
I can kind of show you just briefly, this is what the current, all this blue is essentially floodplain. And so with the new study that's done, it'll look like this. So a lot, the 100-year floodplain will be reduced greatly.
I can't imagine there'll be too many people petitioning to have themselves added back to the floodplain, so.
The appeal process for something like this is pretty rigorous. So essentially, you would have to do your own letter of map revision. So your complete engineering study, and you only have 90 days to do it too. So the standard for appeal is very high, just because of the amount of work, that engineering work that goes into making a change like this.
Mr. Chair and Matt, you talk about map revision. Is that just they have more accurate ways to determine it? Is that, I know you'll probably get into it on your presentation, but how do they change it by, how do they get the map changed?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Syke. And there's essentially was some issues with the floodplain, study, their 2012 flood insurance study in this area, there were some issues with it already. And so just using better modeling, essentially, able to more accurately model what a 100-year flood event would look like in this area.
Thank you.
And apparently very, very slowly. That's how they evaluate it.
Will that change when the diversion's done?
This, I believe, is far enough east where it shouldn't be impacted. Would be interesting, though, is as that diversion work moves along, to look at the diversion did what's called a conditional letter of map revision, and so basically modeling what it would look like after the project was complete. And that is available as well, and that's something that I think the Planning Commission would be, if you're interested in looking at that a little bit further too, we could maybe have someone from the Diversion Authority come and speak to us again about that. Just because there are going to be a lot of positive impacts for folks, especially in between Moorhead and Georgetown, that floodplain there.
It was helpful having the guy that came in over the winter. That was
Yep.
good information.
Yep, we could definitely have him or someone from his team come and provide a presentation on specifically floodplain changes.
Any further questions or comments? Next meeting would be the 15th,
Correct.
July 15th at 7 p.m. Look for a motion, if there's nothing further, look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Motion by Brad, second by
I'll second it.
Kurt Stubsted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried, meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone.